U.S. President Barack Obama has about a week before Congress reconvenes. It's then expected to debate his plan to attack Syria's government over its alleged use of chemical weapons. Secretary of State John Kerry says the administration already knows what type of toxic agents were used in last month's attack.
The commander-in-chief decides to strike Syria.
After President Obama's big announcement on Saturday, the campaign has begun in America to convince people and politicians that military intervention in Syria is the right way forward. Secretary of State John Kerry did the rounds on the Sunday morning talk shows, comparing President Assad with Saddam Hussein and Adolf Hitler, and presenting the public with more evidence to strengthen the government's case.
From hair and blood samples from first responders in East Damascus, the people who came to help, we have signatures of sarin in their hair and blood samples. So the case is growing stronger by the day.
But the question everybody was asking was, what if Congress votes no? It wasn't something he contemplated, saying lawmakers would do what was right because the stakes are high.
Administration officials went to Capitol Hill on Sunday to try to sell lawmakers on military action. But many of the president's own fellow Democrats are expressing opposition at this point.
I am hoping to find an answer to the question, is there another way to hold Assad accountable? This is what the international community wants to do. We want to hold him accountable. We want there to be some consequences. What is that? Is that just going to war? Is that bombing? Is that killing more people?
Right now,
I'm not there yet.
So Congressman, if the vote was held today, do you think it would pass?
You know, that's a very good question. There was a limited number of members of Congress in here. I feel right now it's evenly divided.
And if the vote were to happen, would you vote for it today?
I would not vote for it today.
I believe that there will be some tweaks to the resolution. I think that's a safe assumption.
What needs to be changed?
Well, again, I think there's wording in there, for example, that basically gives the president pretty broad authority as he determines. I don't believe that there's a great appetite, certainly speaking for myself, and I know a lot of my colleagues, to entertain language quite that broad.
Members of the French Parliament are scheduled to hold an emergency session on Wednesday to discuss military action. Interior Minister Manuel Valls said in a radio interview that France cannot go in alone, so he and other members of the government are waiting for the outcome of the vote in the U.S. Congress. President François Hollande has the authority to decide on military action without parliamentary approval, but opposition leaders are calling for a vote on whether to sanction a military strike, and they say the government should wait for a resolution from the United Nations Security Council.
According to the Constitution, the French president is not required to get the Parliament's green light for a military intervention, unless it lasts for more than 4 months. But many right-wing opposition figures, as well as some voices from within François Hollande's own party, have called for such a vote.
Just like the President of the United States, who has decided to seek congressional authorization in the name of democracy, the French President needs to do the same and plan for a parliamentary vote after Wednesday's debate on the issue.
As the French President faces increasing pressure to have Parliament vote, a recent poll also shows that 64% of French people oppose intervening militarily in Syria as part of an international coalition.
Making matters harder for the president, Congress won't be sitting for another week. What's striking about this is the lack of any sense of urgency here. The president went to play golf after making his announcement on Saturday. Congress will remain on holiday for another week and won't be recalled early. And when it returns, there may not be a debate for several days. Until Washington rouses itself from its summer break, the regime in Damascus will continue spinning this as a victory and using it to break the morale of its enemies.